Okay, draw your attention to the minutes from last year. They were sent in the packet. And rather than give people a few minutes, I'd entertain a motion to accept.
Second the motion.
Well, somebody has to move to the first.
Oh, of course, that's right. Okay.
I move to accept.
I move to accept.
So we got two,
And I second the motion.
and you seconded.
Yeah.
Okay. I need to name people who have approved, or does the secretary have them?
I didn't hear what you asked, Tom.
Okay, I was saying, do I need to name people who have made the motions? Or does the
Yes,
secretary
that
have
would be helpful. I guessed it was Linda Santlofer.
Linda Santlofer made the motion and
Bruce seconded. And we had Mike and Maureen also not move at the same time to accept it.
Well, I'll pick Linda because for the minutes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Any discussion or objections to accepting the minutes from the 2020? I'm having a hard time seeing, so
You're using too much
raise
brain.
your hand. Flad,
You see my lips moving.
Sue. You were just.
we voting on to accept it? I thought that's what you said.
Okay, so I see no objection, so I'm calling the question. All in favor of accepting the minutes of the 2020 annual meeting, raise your hands.
David, raise your hand.
Mike and Maureen, I don't see either of you.
I believe that is a clear majority.
That's it. Bruce, is your hand raised?
Yes, I think I see.
And Harry, is your virtual hand raised? Harry, you have to unmute to let me know.
They're being,
Harry doesn't have access to a mic on his computer.
Okay.
So I believe that Harry, are you there?
His mic doesn't work.
Okay, so Harry, just put in the chat, yes or no, that's all. If you,
Okay.
because that would make it unanimous.
Oh, that would, so I don't have to ask any objections.
Everybody raised their hand except I can't see Harry's.
Sue, I don't know if we can count. I feel so badly, but I don't know if we can count Harry's.
All right, that I'm sure.
You have to ask for
Harry
negatives and you
is
have to
in,
ask
but-
for abstentions.
Okay, are there anyone? I'm sorry.
Voting no.
Are there anyone voting no? Any abstentions? Okay.
So for the minutes, I'm saying the motion passed 22-0, no abstentions, and with the note that Harry was not able to vote.
Okay. We'll move on to now to the minister's annual report.
Thank you so much, Tom, and thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to keep this quick because basically my sermon was my annual report. Picked up on that. I will say this from my written report, which I hope that you can read. I, every year, have barometrics for measuring the growth of our congregation, but if we're living into our faith, if we're living into our vision and mission as a congregation. These are topics and areas of growth and vision that you all voted on about 2 years ago in a church-wide service. These are the categories: honoring our sacred spaces, nurturing our community, growing religious exploration, and connecting to our wider world. For honoring our sacred spaces, we have done that by keeping our building closed. It may seem a little ironic this year, but we've not only kept the health and safety of each other, we've kept our building safe, we've kept the homeless men who stay with us overnight safe that we've been able to house. I'm really grateful for Sue Flynn and for Deborah Monte and for the Building and Grounds Committee and everyone who's kept our building in tip-top shape while we've been away. And to that end, we've also created a sacred space together virtually. We've worked really hard to harness our own sacred space together in this virtual world and connect to each other across the nation. For nurturing our community, I've already talked about that. Our membership committee has been hard at work. They have their report, I hope that you're able to read, of all the activities they've done to connect to each other. As soon as we were entering the pandemic, Tom and Kathy moved right into men's and women's groups. I also extended my own programming of having regular ministers' office hours and meditations online and virtually throughout every week. So we've done a lot to nurture our community. Growing religious exploration, we've grown a lot in religious exploration this year. We have connected to 2 different congregations. One is the Community Church of New York, and the other is Beacon UU, or the UU congregation of Summit, New Jersey. Both of them welcomed our families into their programming. So our kids have been able to go to the Children's Chapel every single Sunday at 10:30, and our youth have been able to, if they choose, join the youth programming at Beacon at 6 p.m. every Sunday evening. We also have Anne Marie and Louis Hernandez, who've been working really hard to grow a youth group here at our church on Staten Island. They've had their own 2 film night events, and they're doing more events, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen with our religious exploration. Finally, connecting to our wider world. We have certainly connected to the wider world of our church, from having members join us from Seattle and Florida and even Sweden. We've also connected by continuing our social justice efforts this year. We've also been visiting other UU worlds. We actually, as a community, went and visited the virtual space for the UU Fellowship of Huntington, Long Island. And we hosted the guests from First Church of Jamaica Plain just a few weeks ago. We are continuing to connect with other UUs and with social justice efforts across the world. So as I look to these stated visions and missions of our church, we have gone above and beyond this year. On a personal note, this year has been a lot for myself personally and my family, and I'm grateful for all of you and all you've done to support me. I was able to achieve full fellowship with you in February, which means no more annual paperwork from my ministry. And I celebrated the 3rd anniversary of my ordination with all of you on May 26, 2021. I'm so grateful to be with you, and I look forward to another year together.
Thank you, Emily, for that uplifting report. On to the president's report.
Hello. I want to thank Emily because she has been sort of the cheerleader and motivator for a lot of us to get the work done for this past year. Again, we had to embrace technology. There are things we would have liked to have done that we didn't get to complete because of COVID and because we couldn't open our building until hopefully this fall. So if you read my president's report, I pretty much cover most of that, but I wanted to thank personally, and in this setting, all of the committees and the committee chairs and the people who serve on the committees, because honestly, this church wouldn't get anything done without these committees. You guys are the workhorse. You're the ones who help push things to get completed. And I am very grateful for everybody who's been working on the committees in the last year, because without you, I don't think we would have been able to do as much as we ended up doing. So this is my last meeting as the president of the board. And I wanted to thank you for all of the support and guidance I've gotten from everybody in being the president and working with the board. The board that we had, the board members we had this past year were incredibly helpful and dedicated and creative at times in trying to figure out how we were going to address some of the issues that we face this year. So thank you. Other than that, if you want to read my report, basically that's a good summary, what I just gave you. So thank you.
Okay, and
I would like before we move on, I would like to invite our president to update us with the COVID updates we have.
Sure. Okay, so the COVID update is we have formulated a COVID task force to look at what we need to do and what are the steps we need to take in order to be able to open up our church, hopefully for the fall, and so that we could go back to meeting together. But there are different standards and different rules and regulations that we're going to have to meet, and the COVID task force has been given that charge to do that over the next several months. Is that about all you wanted me to say about that, Emily?
Just to clear, one last thing to clarify, the COVID task force is made up of the executive committee, and of course with consultation of the buildings and grounds committee, and any active staff, specifically Deborah Monte as building supervisor, myself as minister, and Carolyn Clark as choir director.
Okay. We are hopefully, when we get past the COVID, going to be able to rent out the basement space that we had renovated and had planned to have rented out as an income source for our church. So we're hoping when we get past all of the COVID stuff, we'll be able to do that.
Okay. And on behalf of the congregation and your fellow officers, I wanted to thank you for your service to the church as pres for these past years. We could say that it wasn't your typical presidency.
No, it wasn't.
And
it wasn't.
We thank everybody who's been involved in that.
I mean, we've done everything from hosting immunizations in our parish hall, thanks to Chris connecting that, to we've been very creative this year, and literally we could not have done it without everybody that is so actively working in our church. It is not just one person or one committee, it's the combined efforts of everyone.
Yes, it is. And with that note, I'd like to move on to the treasurer's report that'll be presented by our back office and front office chair. Sue, you have the calm.
Huh?
It's your turn.
Your turn.
Okay, my turn. I think my internet, I'm hoping you can hear me because it keeps telling me it's not stable.
I can hear you.
Okay, my report, you can look at it. I'll kind of glaze over it. As you can see, these are our finances right at the top. We're actually looking pretty good right now. And as I say in the bullet, this is the first time in my memory that we had a balanced budget. But that's because we didn't spend any money this year. We were like truly on a skeleton crew. So that's not going to be the case for next year. On a note, one of the things that helped us this past year was we did receive just under $14,000 PPP loan. I did put in the application for the forgiveness. I'm just waiting. It takes time, but I'm sure we're getting it because we spent every penny of it on salary. Okay, that was all the good news. You know, we'll see when we look at the budget later how much money we're looking to spend as we reopen. That's going to change that. As Linda mentioned, we were hoping to rent the basement. Now, once we are able to do that, we'll start to look a little bit better. We still received $30,000 a year rent from out of the storm for renting the parsonage. And, you know, we need to talk to them about renegotiating the terms of their lease. You know, hopefully we will either get them to pay their water bill or raise their rent a little bit. So hopefully we'll get a little more income from that. Okay, capital fund. Capital fund's doing really well. We continue to budget at $7,000 a year from the operating budget into that. We are also, because the parsonage is an old building and is going to be needing capital repairs done in the future, we have decided to take 10% of their rent, which comes out to $250 a month, and put that into the capital fund. Just to try to just, kind of build up that capital fund a little bit more in anticipation of repairs that are going to come down the road for that parsonage building. Right now, the capital account stands at just under $33,000, which is really pretty good. Okay, I mentioned that. And NYSERDA loan. We've so far, that was the loan we took out to redo the. We continue to pay $471 and change a month. We've made 32 payments out of 120 payments. So I'm looking that by September 2028, it will be paid off. We are saving money in fuel bills, and we're actually, it's a much more environmental friendly fuel system that we're using. So, it was worth the expense, I think. For 2022, our projected income of $113,950. That's conservative. That's based on what we've done in the past and the pledges that we know that people have sent in that they've committed to. Last year's pledge income was over 68,000. It actually was 149,000 at plus, but that's because we got some very generous donations and the PPP loan. So that really helped buffer us last year. Those one-time donations, I think one was for $5,000 and there were a few other, you'll see in the budget from the actual budget from last year, what the contributions were. We can't count on them again this year. So, that's, I don't know if people were just being very generous because of the pandemic that we received all this extra money. But as someone in the office, we have not had a paid office assistant in 2 years. So there's no way we can reopen without having someone in that office at least 3 days a week. We're also going to need, childcare. So, those are 2 staff positions that we were not paying for that we're going to have to pay for. Plus other, expenses that just come with opening the building. So we have a projected, let's see. We think we're going to be spending almost $150,000 this coming year. Now we may not be, because we're not going to be hiring someone right away. I don't know how soon the church will open. As you'll see when you look at the actual budgets, we budget money into things like the lawn service, the custodian service, in case we need to have that. And we don't always spend it all. So I'm really hoping that we don't spend $148,000, but we need to be prepared in case we do. So that leaves us with a deficit that's a little bit over $34,000, which is high.
So,
but when you look at the budget, you're going to see why.
So
that's my report, and I want to thank everyone on my finance committee. Chris Johnson, Sally Jones, Tom Saluga, Randy, and assistants, and actually kind of, can you hear me?
You keep cutting out a little bit.
Sally.
Yeah, so I'm taking notes, and you need to repeat the deficit number. Because
Sally, it's in the budget.
I know, but for people who may not have heard it.
Okay.
I think that she's frozen, so I'm going to go ahead and go into the packet and repeat what's on the treasurer's report here, if you can hear me clearly. So the projected deficit for year 2022 is $34,189.15. It's a little over $34,000 is the projected deficit for next year.
Thank you.
Maureen, I see your hand is raised. I can't hear you.
Unmute her.
I'm trying.
I know.
She has to unmute. her.
Okay, I'm
There we
unmuted
go.
now.
All right, great.
Okay, yeah, I was a little confused by the numbers in Susan's report. I thought that she said that the pledge, in addition to pledge, that with the contributions, that the number was $149,000 that we took in, and I don't think that that's accurate. It's accurate because I don't remember noticing that in your budget. That sounds like we took in $149,000.
Yeah, that's
We
what-
did,
Wow, hallelujah. Okay, praise the Lord. Okay.
well,
thank
because
you.
of the contributions.
I didn't sort of pick that out of the report. That's amazing, but okay.
We got
cool.
over $13,000 in contributions.
So if we got $68,000 in pledges and $13,000 in contributions, that's $81,000, but you're saying a
Maureen,
number-
look at the report. It's all on there, on my final
Okay.
budget report.
I didn't look at it, but all right. I guess you're also counting the rent from the parsonage in there, right?
It's too small.
All of our income, it's all on there.
Okay, so the parsonage rent is probably part of that then. Okay. thank
Everything,
you.
any penny we got from anybody is on there. That's the total income.
Okay,
Would it be helpful for me to share my screen with the budget so you can see all the income we have? I don't think that's needed. It's in the packet. Go read the packet. It's
I did.
including
all
not
right, I'll
too
read it
small.
again.
It
I'll
was
read
too
it again.
small to read.
I
Go
was
ahead
able
and do
to, I was able to make it bigger to read it, so I don't feel like, I just didn't remember the numbers being that positive, but, well, I asked the question, you answered it, all right. Thank
Again,
you.
I think it's important for us to understand with the money that's coming in, the different numbers of contributions we've gotten, right? It's not only the fact that pledge income came in. It's not
And
only the fact we had $13,000 of contributions. People gave because people passed away. People gave because people
Okay,
missed our church. People gave because they gave to our Holly Jolly fundraising fair for our card. People gave us rental income. People who missed us or rented from us usually I think in one case, gave us a little bit of money too. So people have been really generous. Yes,
Okay.
Don't forget, we got the PPP loan. That was almost 14,000.
okay,
That's in there too.
okay, thank you.
But it's spelled out line by line. You can see the finals, how much money we got in each, between pledge, contribution, rent, it's all, and it was a whopping, what did I say? Almost $150,000. But that's not going to be the case next year unless someone wins lotto and donates it to us.
Okay, thank you.
That's my dream.
Mine too.
Okay, so that ends your treasurer's report and budget overview.
Yes.
Okay, we come to the time where everybody enjoys the approval of the fiscal year 22 budget. That's in the package, and I know that sometimes when you're viewing the package online, it's small, but try to enlarge it whichever way you can so you could see it. It's been out a while. Do people need, by a show of hands, how many people need some time to just glance at it a little bit longer? Okay, no one's raised their hands.
Seeing no
Oh,
hands
yes.
raised, I make a motion to approve the FY22 budget as presented by our treasurer, Sue Flynn.
I second the motion.
Okay, motion,
We need a s-
Mike,
I made the motion.
there's a motion on the table. It was seconded. Sally, Chris made the motion, Linda second.
Okay, thank you.
Discussion on the motion. I see no hands. Oh,
Roll too easy. You're scaring me.
Sally,
Sally?
I just want just brief discussion just to say, I want to thank Sue.
Yes.
She didn't say this, but I think it needs to be said. The reason why we didn't have a a deficit last year and we've been doing so well is because from a financial side, largely because, or a big part is because of Sue.
Yes.
The fact that she has taken on a lot of the administrative work having to do with our finances, the bookkeeping, the paying of the bills, the setting, working with the board to look at the budget every single month. We go over the figures in detail. You know, I can attest to that. I can swear. And I hope that the congregation trusts the board and the finance committee that they have done their job and care about being conservative and careful. And I really want to thank Sue for every penny she saved us.
Yes, definitely.
Well, thank you.
Thank
I
you.
feel, you know, really committed to keeping our church afloat. I feel spiritually invested in our church. So yeah, it's, you know, I don't want to keep doing this forever, but now I've gotten a better handle on it. But I can't wait till we reopen and, you know, things will be. Oh, I didn't mention too, one of the big incomes, thank you to everyone who had anything to do with the Holly Jolly Fair card. That brought in quite a nice bit of money. I think it was like just under $10,000. You know, that was great. It was a lot of hard work. And it goes to show you, we may not need to do a fair.
I also want to thank Tom and other people, Randy, other people on the finance committee, especially Tom, for helping us get on PayPal. We would not be able to have online contributions this year, which were necessary for virtual church without all of his help. And another shout out for Sue, just because, look, we haven't had, I just want you to sit with the fact, we haven't had an office administrator in 2 years.
Yep.
Sue has been showing up to church. She was the only person in the physical office this entire pandemic.
Yep.
So between Sue and my own extended work of communications, we've literally been carrying the weight of the office staff. So understand that was a big savings for this church over the last 2 years. And we're looking forward to getting office staff as we go back in person next year.
Don't we have a motion on the floor?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, thank you.
There was a motion to discuss, and I want to ask the question, any other discussion? Very good. I'd like to call the question. Do we motion to approve the fiscal year 22 budget? All in favor, raise your hands. I need a hand here. Okay. Let me know when you're done counting.
At this point, I can't tell if with Bruce and Harry, but everybody else, it seems like everyone has their hand up.
Okay, hands
I
down.
don't think David's hand.
Up. All those opposed? All those abstaining?
And
Oh, I'm sorry. All those opposed? We're moving on to.
I need to know the count.
Okay, I don't see any hands up for opposed.
Okay, but how many voted in favor? Could Sue let me know what she counted?
It looks like David is frozen.
Yes, that's correct.
yeah,
I'm
you were
for
yay.
it. I'm voting
You were yay,
yes.
David.
I'm voting yes. Can you
Okay,
hear me?
All right, so Sally, it's pretty much the same as the, because I can't tell what Harry is voting.
Okay,
yes
so
or no.
I'm gonna put for the minutes if that's okay.
22.
22, okay?
Yes.
And no one, no
Yes.
no's and
No
no
abstention.
abstentions.
and no abstentions, okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to Carol and the nominating committee's report.
Yeah, okay. The nominating committee this year was myself, Maureen, and Kathy, and I'd like to thank them for all their hard work.
Thank you.
And And I'm just going to start with the slate. All the nominees have graciously accepted their nomination, and the slate is as follows. For the Executive Board, President Christine Johnson, Vice President Mike Stein, Secretary Sally Jones, and Treasurer Sue Flynn. Trustees, we have several. Three-year terms. Three-year terms are Kevin Clark and Randy Leeson. They're replacing the two persons who have transitioned off the board. And then we have the following individuals who graciously agreed to nomination to fulfill terms for trustees who, for one reason or another, were unable to complete their terms. And that would be Tom Saluga, who will serve through 2023. And then Brendan Spillane and John Walker through 2022. And then the nominating committee, we have two nominations, and that is Claudette Duff and Larry Schwalbach. That is the slate.
Thank you. So next, no. We have to move on to the elections now. So I would entertain a motion to accept the slate as it's been stated.
I make the motion to accept the slate as stated.
Randy, did you second that? Randy's muted, but I think he seconded.
Yes.
Okay. Discussion? Okay. Slate has been accepted. I probably forgot to ask, are there nominations from the floor or Zoom? So any nominations from the floor or Zoom? None? None seen. So I entertain now we have a motion to accept the slate. We had a second. Let's do a vote. Raise your hands if you approve the motion to accept the slate. Keep them up so that they can count.
It's the same.
Okay. Those opposed to the slate? Any abstaining?
I see Marilyn Brooke abstains.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Marilyn. I didn't see that. Thank you. Okay, so we've gone through the election, and I want to, on behalf of the community, thank the outgoing members of the trustees for their service and their dedication to our community. Yes, the trustees is everybody. I'm hearing voices as my background saying offices.
Sue, Linda, was there anything that you had planned for this moment with the new slate? I don't know if you had anything.
No, I just congratulate all of them and wish the best. And if they want to ask me any questions, please call, kind of thing. I'm looking forward to seeing what goes on in the next year.
I recognize Christine.
So I just wanted to say, I think we had discussed, we certainly wanted to thank those trustees that are stepping away from the board. That's Vicky, Sarah, Rachel, Diane Colon, and Miss Linda. And Sue Flynn is continuing, as is Sally Jones, Virginia Allen. Mike Stein is moving up to the VP slot. And so we welcome all the newbies who are elected today, and we will be off and running.
Yes, Maureen, I see your hand is raised.
I just want to let all the newbies know that you probably have to go to your first board meeting this Wednesday night. I think they're at 7:30 virtually, but new people, mark your calendars. The second Wednesday of every month, you will be at a board meeting. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, Maureen. Thank you for the reminder.
Thank you, Maureen. Yes, this next Wednesday coming up is going to be our first board meeting. But I also want to invite both the new people coming onto the board and the people who are leaving the board for an after the in-person exchange on Saturday, June 12th around 4 p.m., a time to in-person gather and just say hi and thank you. So if you want to, stop by the church at 4 p.m. Saturday, June 12th, so that we can thank the trustees who are starting and those who are leaving. Thank you.
That being said, we have committee reports.
Mhm.
What time does the board meeting start on Wednesday?
7:30.
7:30. Does anyone, or does the chair want to present to the group on Zoom? Any of the chairs? And I know I've got a chair behind me, and I'm looking at one chair in the upper left-hand corner of my screen. I don't see any chairs. Ruth, I don't. Are you raising your hand?
No, I don't want to present.
It was the voice. It was the voice in the back again.
What can I tell you? It's in the report. People can read it.
Okay. I move that we accept I'm looking for a motion to accept the reports as presented in the packet. Randy has
I
moved.
move.
Mike has second. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, vote. All in favor of accepting a motion to accept the reports? Okay, we counted everybody. Down hands. Anybody abstain? Anybody oppose that motion? So be it. It's been accepted. I'm looking for closing words.
That's from me. I don't know if in Robert's rules we call the time to adjourn before.
Oh, yeah. No, we need a motion to adjourn.
All right, so I'm going to do closing words and then we'll make the motion to adjourn. Okay.
Okay.
Here are some closing words. I'll be fast. These are by Robin Gray. As we prepare to depart, we give voice to these hopes. May we know ourselves bound in community, even while we are apart. May we share a passion for justice that burns in our lives. May we carry the light of compassion in our hearts and in our every interaction. And may we be whole in our devotion to truth and always carry the lamp of peace before us. May it be so.
Thank you. Now may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. I make a
Seconded.
motion. Good.
Sal, did you get that?
Who was the second? I'm sorry.
Aye.
Mike?
Yes.
Yes.
All in favor? Aye. No discussion. Abstaining? Anybody want to stay on and discuss more? Okay, good. So moved.
I have to say that even for Zoom and all of its complications, this is the fastest annual meeting I think I've ever been at. Wow.
I believe you are correct. Yes.
Before I forget, not that I forgot, but I wanted to mention, I want to give an honorable mention to Mr. Flynn, who has also been behind the scenes. He comes with me every time I go to the church, and he's out there sweeping the steps, the walkways, fixing the bookcase, putting new books, getting rid of old books, taking out the trash. So I have to mention him also. Yeah, that's
Did you hear us?
Hey, Tommy.